Hello, participants. On behalf of the Georgia School Counselors Association, my name is Willie Neal French, and I am currently serving as a secondary vice president for high schools. And today, with College Week Live, this is an opportunity for you to just pose questions to me, and I will provide feedback or answers for your to your questions. I'll be looking up and down at the camera because I have my questions that may pop up here, and I need to read them, as well as I may type some information on the screen just if you ask for specific resources that I know of. So you're more than welcome to go ahead and fire away your questions, and I'll be glad to answer them. One question that was asked was, do out-of-state students come to Georgia? And what I think you're asking is, does Georgia accept out-of-state students? And the answer to that question is yes. If you don't mind, you may want to give me some more clarifying or more information so that I can better answer that question. Do out-of-state students come to Georgia? The person clarified their question, and it is, do are many of the colleges and universities a mix of in-state and out-of-state students in Georgia? I think that's really a question more so for the counselors at the various colleges. But from my experience, when students return back here to Johns Creek and kind of talk about their experiences, they do mention that there are a number of students that are from out of state. I think in the state of Georgia, our two flagships, which would be Georgia Tech and the University of Georgia, probably have the highest number of out-of-state students, as well as some of our private schools such as Emory University or maybe even Berry College. Otherwise, I think a good portion of our in-state colleges have are mainly in-state students. But that's a question you want to ask each college, and you can actually find that information on each of the university's admissions websites. The next question is, what are the top 5 things I should keep in mind when applying to Georgia schools? Any tips or advice you can give on the application process? For schools in the state of Georgia, I would say you want to make sure that your grades are high. We are an academically driven state, so if you are coming from out of state and you're looking at certain Georgia schools, we do pay attention to academic records and rigor, whether you're taking college prep courses, general courses, honors, AP, gifted, those things do matter. As well as you want to have a very competitive test score. On each of the university's websites, they kind of give you a median profile of what the previous class's attendance or what the previous class's percentages were. A number of our schools also in the state of Georgia use a freshman index to admit students. And you can Google that information, and I think it is called the USG Freshman Index. Some of our universities actually use that as an admissions practice. Not all schools. Some schools have their own unpublished methodologies, but that's one that you can actually research and look. And the way it works is your grades are plugged in, your test scores are plugged in, and if you come up with the magic number that school has created, then you are admitted. The last question to this was, any tips or advice you can give on the application process? That really depends on the schools that you are applying to. But again, grades are important to all universities and colleges in the state of Georgia. What we recommend to our students is they take a rigorous course load, as well as they take plenty of practice tests with the SAT and the ACT. And then really figure out what story they want to share with the university. What makes them special? So that way when the school starts reviewing and looking at the application, those are the things that they will see. In terms of the top 5 things, there's really not top 5 that I can give you, but I can definitely tell you grades, test scores are important to most of our universities, and then some of our smaller schools are going to be looking at activities as well as things you've done in the community. They don't necessarily want a child that's overly involved, but they are looking for a candidate who can provide some type of servant leadership to their university campus. The next question is, why Georgia over another state? I don't really think that's a question that I can answer. I would say if you are an in-state person, meaning you live here in the state of Georgia, I would say the one thing that you have that other states don't have is the Hope Scholarship, where that pays for 90% or 100% depending on if you get Hope or the Zell Miller Scholarship. So you do have kind of a reason there to stay in the state of Georgia, but I can't really say why Georgia over another state. I think what you want to look for is the fit. And I think any college admissions counselor, recruiter would tell you fit is the best choice. Not every kid in the state of Georgia wants to go to UGA, which is one of our largest schools. They may find some of our smaller schools more beneficial to them. As a sophomore, what should I be doing to best prepare for college and the admissions process? Right now, as a sophomore, you want to treat this as a shopping season. You should still find a lot of schools interesting. And this summer, what you want to do is, from that list of schools that you've been creating, is start taking things off of your list based off of what your criteria is. And your criteria can be anything. It can be you're looking for schools that have a number of sports teams, or you're looking for a school that has a large portion of their population that does study abroad. But you want to figure out what are things you want in your university, as well as things that you can't live without, and then determine your list from that standpoint. Continue to work on your grades. I have seen where students will get really relaxed their freshman and sophomore year, and then beginning their junior year and into their senior year, their grades will start slipping. Colleges like to see a continuity in grades. So even if you're taking the rigorous classes, they still want you to perform. Also, beginning this summer, you can start doing some type of test prep, and you can just go to Barnes and Nobles or any bookstore and pick up maybe the Princeton Review booklet for, I think they cost about 22 bucks, and kind of work through some of the problems, as well as to continue to read and become comfortable with testing and your reading comprehension. The question is, for Georgia Tech, what should my average SAT score be? I would encourage you, or I would ask that you would go to the Georgia Tech website and look for on their profile for the median SAT score. I cannot recall it offhand, but I can come back to your question if I don't have any others, and maybe I can find it while some others are coming up with questions. The next question is, how many colleges are in the state of Georgia that are both public and private? And I can look really quickly and see if I have that information. Readily available. I do not. I do not have that information readily available. One of the things you want to think about is, in the state of Georgia, we have a number of campuses that carry the same name but have multiple campuses. For example, the University of North Georgia has two campuses, the Gainesville campus as well as the Dahlonega campus. So that could increase the number of universities we offer. You can go on Georgia College 411, which is our in-state website, and I'll type it out right here. This is our local state website that you can go on to get more information about colleges, both public and private, in the state of Georgia. If you are a Georgia student, you should already have a login to this website if you attend a public school. If you attend a private school, you may want to create an account, and you can use this website to learn more information about the colleges and universities in Georgia. There's a question that says, what is the student life like on campuses in Georgia? Any top schools that come in mind that have some great school spirit or athletics? I think all of our universities in the state of Georgia have great athletics. A number of our schools are beginning to add additional sports teams, which of course will increase athletics participation and school spirit. You are talking about a southern state, so we do treat our football, basketball, baseball with great pride. However, there are other athletics that are beginning to that are beginning to form, such as lacrosse as well as ice hockey at some of our universities. So you want to really pick any of our schools that have great spirit and athletics. But again, you want to look for a place that is about your fit, not about the school spirit. I think any of our schools have a great fight song or a great mascot or a great tradition. That's kind of a South thing. This is a great question. How should I pick what teachers to ask for recommendations? We recommend that you use primarily your 11th grade teachers for your recommendations. You can also choose your sophomore year teachers if you feel like they had a great, or if you feel like they really understood you as a learner. One of the things your teacher recommendations are supposed to do is explain how you, the student, performed in the class, how you handled the material, how you maybe took information to another level. So you want to pick a teacher that can talk about your love of learning and how you were as a student. Also, teachers have the right to say no to writing recommendations. They are not required to write recommendations like your counselors. I say that to say some teachers have a practice where they only write a certain number of recommendations. So it's important when you get to your senior year that you get to your teachers early to ask them to write recommendations. The next question is, how is the weather year round? The great thing about Georgia is you do have 4 seasons. Some seasons are longer than others, but you will get all 4 seasons here in the state of Georgia. The summer months, fall, spring, tend to be a little bit longer than our winter months here. Can you lose hope while in school, referring to the Hope Scholarship? Yes, you can lose hope while you're in school. In order to earn the Hope Scholarship, you have to have a 3.0 in your academic classes, which are English, Math, Science, Social Studies, and World Language, or Foreign Language, as it may be known in some other areas. At each of the universities, there is a checkpoint that occurs at the end of each semester, as well as at a 30, 60, 90 checkpoint. That means at the end of each semester, they're going to check your grades, and if you have below a 3.0, you're going to lose your Hope Scholarship. They will also check once you have earned 30 semester hours, 60 semester hours, and 90 semester hours. In the state of Georgia, you can only earn your scholarship back one time, and it can only be at one of those checkpoints of 30, 60, 90. As I stated earlier, the GA College 411 site is a great place for you to go visit, and there is a link under financial. There's a tab on that website called Financial Information where you can locate Hope Scholarship. What about extracurricular activities? Are there particular activities schools are looking for? My answer is they are looking for a student who is involved in the school community. So whether that means they are in art, then maybe they're in a drama play, or they're part of the art society, or maybe they are a student council, or in National Honor Society, or maybe they are part of a sports team. But schools are just looking for a student to be involved and in their school community. They don't necessarily have a specific list of activities for the students, or there's not a particular list of activities that schools are looking for. So they're just really looking for a servant leader. They're looking for someone who believes in providing service to others, service to the community, as well as those who have great leadership skills. Do a lot of out of state students attend college in Georgia? Again, that is a question that you're going to have to ask the different universities. They can provide you with the percentage of in state and out of state students. I will tell you that Georgia does not have a certain percentage of in state students they have to admit, like some other states in the country. So I think it's a very good chance that out-of-state students can be admitted to our colleges here. However, a specific number, you're going to have to visit the college of your choice. What are some things I can do to boost my application? One of the things you want to do is, again, be involved in your school. Somehow provide some type of service to your activities, whether it's just a club or one or two clubs, maybe it's through athletics. In addition to that, you want to have good grades and you want to study for the different tests. If you feel like you are a weak test taker, you can go to fairtest.org and look at schools that do not require an SAT or an ACT. But I think making sure that you are involved in one or two clubs, you provide leadership, and you institute some type of change within your community, I think can help boost your application to those schools who do a holistic review. And what I mean by a holistic review is you're looking at the entire student. So you're looking at the academic piece, you're looking at the testing piece, you're looking at the extracurricular piece, and you're looking at the recommendations. So they're looking at the whole student and not just parts of them. There don't there doesn't seem to be any questions, so I'll go look on the Georgia Tech website. I think there was a question earlier about the average SAT score, and I'll see if I can pull up that information. So on the undergraduate admissions website for Georgia Tech, which is Georgia Institute of Technology, the median SAT score was 2,000 to 2210. And then the ACT was 29 to 33. Again, you have to remember when you're talking about a median, that represents just 50% of the incoming class. So there's 25% that had a score higher than a 2210, and there's 25% that had lower than a score of 2000. Next question is, oops, are there any leadership organizations that you can recommend for one to get involved in? In your school, you have class officers, which may be an elected position or it may be a volunteer position. You also have student council that is, again, could be an elected position or a volunteer position. But there are also things like the Key Club, which is an organization that is an off branch of the Kiwanis Club that is open to students. And that helps you to get involved in the community. You may also want to look at a local Red Cross opportunity where you can go out and help raise money for families that are in need. You can also look at volunteering at your local elementary school, maybe helping tutor young students in math or English, science, social studies, that sort of thing. You can almost find leadership in any type of organization that exists within your school and within your community, maybe even in your church. You are just looking for opportunities where you can be involved and can grow as an individual. I know I mentioned another website earlier called fairtest.org, so I'll type that in on the screen here. And again, this website lists colleges that do not require a test score to be admitted. You normally have to search, when the website pops up, you can search by state for the schools that do not require an actual test score. Next question is, what about sports activities? Can you tell me what the most popular sports are at universities in Georgia? I would definitely say if the school offers football, that would be probably one of the most popular ones. All the schools seem to offer basketball. So if you are a fan of basketball, I think every school has an opportunity or has a basketball team. And then I think it is a pretty mix between soccer and baseball that will follow up, as well as tennis is fairly popular at some of our schools. The next question is, what is the most popular college or university that your students apply to? All of our students apply to at least every university in the state of Georgia. All of our four-year institutions. I would say the most popular would be University of Georgia, Georgia Tech, Valdosta State, Georgia Southern, and Georgia State University. Then will follow Kennesaw State, and then the University of North Georgia, Dahlonega campus. Well, it seems like there have not been any questions posted in the last 4 minutes, so I guess it feels like everyone has received the information that they were interested in. We definitely hope you decide on applying to some of our colleges and universities in the state of Georgia. As always, you want to set up a meeting with your school counselor to make sure that you meet the requirements for some of the universities here in our great state. And if you ever need anything or have any questions, just make sure to meet with your school counselor, as well as reach out to the admissions counselors at the universities that you're interested in. A lot of them are very familiar with your schools and your area, and can guide you in the right direction on being an admittable student. Have a great school year, and hopefully we'll see you again whenever we talk about colleges and universities in the state of Georgia.